Today we'll be creating a horror soundscape using household items. And here to help me conquer this majestic quest is the charming, the beautiful Essie! Hello, Essie. Are you ready to do this?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Oh! So the first item of the day is a whisk. Hit it, Essie. And now let's create the sound of a character walking through snow using 2 padded envelopes. Here goes.
And here we have a couple of frying pans.
Frying pans.
Frying pans.
I'm gonna do like this. And it's your turn. Here's a bathroom fan. If you're a big fan of this fan, let me know in the comments below.
It is time to record some ambience and wind.
And for the culmination of the story, we got a knife drama. Let's take a listen to this. Here comes a really silent one, because we will be recording dripping water. The way we're planning on doing this is by filling this bowl with water and then soaking a piece of paper with some other water and then slowly squeezing it out of the paper into the bowl. Have you got a paper for me?
Got a paper.
Excellent. I'm gonna go real close to the microphone. Okay, Essie, are you ready to create a little a little noise for me? Let's hear it. Here's a bunch of toothpicks. I have absolutely no idea what they're going to be in the actual story, but they sound alright. Here it goes. Woohoo! And it's time to record a little bit of dialogue. Hit it. Where am I? Where are you taking me? Where are you taking me? And boom! We are inside FL Studio 12, which is my DAW of choice. I've loaded up all the sounds, as you can see, and I've named them accordingly in order to give myself a smooth workflow. And now it's time to audition them and find the good parts. Let's get started! I like it when it's like clear spikes, because that makes it so much easier to see.
I'm
That is my girlfriend's laugh. Okay, so after auditioning every sound, I have found the good parts, and I've also found that they are pretty decent. Some of them are a bit low, so we're gonna need to find a way around that. So, I want to assign them to an individual track in the mixer, and I will do that. Okay, so I am going to treat these little clips with some limiters. I'm actually not going to use a bus for this. I'm gonna treat them individually because they all have different needs. So this one could use a bit more volume. I'll simply give some gain, but now we can hear something. We can hear that there's a low frequency going on. Let's add an EQ, and we can see it right here. So I'm gonna take that frequency away. we didn't need it anyway. Much better. That is the basics for the toothpicks. Moving on to the bathroom fan. We want to be as close to 0 decibel as possible, at least for the final mix. We'll see about the levels for each individual clip as we go, but that's always a good thing to remember. That is always where you're aiming. I've added the dialogue as well that me and Essie recorded, but first of all, let's jump into the fun part of making this sound like a horror soundscape. Let's start with the ambience. That would be the boiler in this case. First of all, there's a bit of rumbling as well. Add one of these again. I want this to sound like wind. So what can I do? Well, I'll replace this limiter bus with a reverb. I'll be using the RC48 from Native Instruments, but there are of course many perfectly fine reverbs out there. I'll go with the atmosphere preset. Totally wet, because this is a bus, remember? I will determine the amount of send using this little knob right here. So let's try some different levels. I like the sound of this, but it doesn't sound like wind because it's way too static. Sorry, my mouse is a bit broken. So we're gonna need to automate the volume, I think, and give it a little bit of variation to it. Let's move it to the front. No wind is static in frequencies, pitch, volume, but we took care of the volume, so now let's move into the pitch and frequencies using some EQ automation. Now that we got the wind / ambience in place, I think the next step will naturally have to be the dialogue, because that will determine where the rest of the events will take place, naturally. So I've added vocal preset EQs and compressors, and here is the difference between the two tracks. In the reverb, I will use a male preset for my voice and a female preset for hers. Let's listen and find a good level. Where am I? Where are you taking me? Why am I blindfolded? And as we notice, that is a pretty short reverb. I want that in combination with the huge reverb that we already got in one of the buses. Where am I? Where are you taking me?
You caused this yourself. You fell for the oldest trick in the book. You caused this yourself. You caused this yourself. You fell for the oldest trick in the book.
Now that the dialogue is reasonably in shape, I will move on to the rest of the ambience and the noises that we recorded before. Where am I?
Step inside.
What kind of place is this? Here's a nice little idea, and that is taking these frying pans and clicking reverse. Let's listen to them in isolation.
Use your mind to learn how you tweak.
Where am I?
Step inside.
And that's it. Now I'll export it, and in one moment you will get to hear it. Where am I? Where are you taking me? Why am I blindfolded?
You caused this yourself. You fell for the oldest trick in the book.
I don't understand. Where are you taking me?
We're almost there. Step inside.
What kind of place is this?
It's where I take people like you. Those who don't know when to look away.
It was just a night out. I didn't do anything no one else wouldn't do.
Do you see this curry spice blend? I like eating brains like yours. I wanna taste your mind to learn how your twisted brain works.
No! No! No!
Just kidding. You can go. Here's my card.
It's the charming, the beautiful Essie! Hello, Essie! The beautiful Essie! That was not planned, but it was quite brilliant.
I'm liking this too much.
And now, it is time to record some And now, it is time to record some ambience and wind. Har du hur det knäppte in?
En till.